Hey, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Hey, Merry Christmas.
It's the last day of 2020 and we're celebrating by making cookies. And this is kind of our Christmas edition of Cooking with Grandma Betty. So here we go. We're going to make a recipe from Great Grandma McCain.
Yeah, we called it tea cakes, and they didn't use a recipe really, but one day she wrote it down for me. But anyway, here it is. It's old and weathered. And but you don't really have to use a recipe when you've made it for years and years like they did. They just pour it all in a bowl, stir it up, and roll it out and put it in the oven.
So that's what we're going to do, and I'm going to try to switch this around so you're watching Mama. Okay, the oven's ready. We've got the oven on 375. All right.
Okay, my recipe calls for 4 to 4.5 cups of flour. I'm gonna do it the way Grandma did it and put it in the bowl and stir it up like that, not the way the recipe's telling you now.
So she's actually
But I'm
measuring it, which is strange for Grandma Betty. It's been a while since you've made these, right? Maybe some of the cousins will be on here that have, if you are. Oh my goodness, my good friend from Botswana is watching. Hey, Mayo, it's good to see your name
What does she know about
and your face.
What,
And I told Mom we had to do this because you were kind of excited about it.
And what we did was what my grandma and Mama did. Oops, we're out of flour there.
I think the recipe should say pour the whole bag of flour in the bowl. Whatever flour you have left.
Yeah, we have to have a little bit of extra flour and a little bit.
So she was using this flour, White Lily.
And
And you can see the ingredients are basically flour, sugar, eggs, and shortening.
And what my mama did, and all they just put their flour in the bowl. They put their sugar in the bowl.
Whoops, there went the rolling pin.
We'll pick it up. Well, I have another rolling pin.
And you can see Mama's little bay window here with all her plants. We have got her a grow light for Christmas. It's working well. It's a rainy, kind of a dreary day here.
And this is for a lot of tea cakes because people had a lot of children. They made a bunch of tea cakes. So I'm going to plan on have some for gifts. 2 cups of sugar. I think my bowl might be too little.
Might be.
Then you make cold and that they just pour it all together. Then they put the butter. Well, it says fat in Grandma's recipe, which means shortening or butter. But I use half butter and half of the shortening.
So I'll post a picture of Great Grandma's recipe. And you said that's actually Great Grandma's handwriting? But this is an adaptation of that. We're
not using it exactly like it because I'm using some shortening.
She's using a mixture of shortening and butter, and also I need to get on the road to head back home. So normally you would leave the dough in the refrigerator for a couple of hours, and we're not going to do that either. So
we just use a little bit more flour to thicken it with, and that makes it able to do it. But they never did that back a long time ago. They didn't put it in the refrigerator.
Well, reckon why she wrote it down
I
then.
don't know, because it was probably on the recipe she got it off of. They just made it and everything.
She didn't have time to fool with leaving it sit in the refrigerator. Kind of like we don't now.
That's right.
Do you think she ever actually measured anything?
No, they didn't. They just put it in the bowl. Okay, let me go right over here just a minute and rest.
I'm following you. What are you hunting for? Oh, okay, I shouldn't have followed you.
And I need a paper towel. I got a little
All right,
shortening
so
on
we're
my
making what I call it Grandma Simpson's tea cakes, but Mom said the recipe actually came from my Great Grandma McCain, which is my mama's mama. And it's just flour and sugar, and Mom's got butter and shortening. What's the recipe officially called for? Lard, probably. Yeah. And what you doing, Mama?
I'm gonna mash this up.
Oh, okay. Hey, Stephanie. Mama is making tea cakes. You probably have this recipe. I wonder if you've ever made it. It's supposed to turn out like Grandma Simpson used to make them, but the recipe came from her mom, Great Grandma McCain.
Hershey cakes.
Yeah.
And they didn't use this thing. They used their hands to goop it up with.
Yeah.
What I'm doing is blending the butter, the shortening with the sugar, and you don't really have to get it into the flour quite yet. They had magic hands. They just put their hand down in there and did like that and got it all done together. And they knew when the touch felt right, they knew when to start putting the other stuff in it.
Yeah, you just know it feels right, huh?
I'm making a big recipe for because maybe people will go home with some cookies.
You're stirring
But
it up. Looks like it's...
You can divide it and not have this much at a time if you want to. Now I've got the sugar and the butter kind of blended. Now I'm going to put the eggs in. This calls for 3 eggs. And, you never just could put your eggs, I guess anybody that cooks knows, you don't put your eggs directly into your cooking simply because what if one of them gets a shell in it or something.
Yeah, that's a good cooking tip for people that don't bake often.
Because you might actually drop it in there or something.
So she's putting the eggs. Hey, Rachel, we're making cookies that we call tea cakes. It's my Great Grandma McCain's recipe. Well, an adaptation of that. And we call them tea cakes. She called them rolled cookies, evidently. We'll post a picture of the recipe under this when we're done. And so far, we've got flour, sugar. Mama used butter and shortening together. The recipe calls for lard. And eggs.
And they may not know what lard is.
And do you know, what is lard, Mama?
It's shortened from... Well, a long time ago, they used to kill hogs and they boil the fat and made the shortening. They used that in all their cooking before people decided to put it in cans called Crisco. And then they started adding butter. Well, they used butter because they had their own butter back then, you know. They had cows and made their own butter.
That looks kind of hard to mix up. It's getting thick.
Well, it's got flour in too. But now we have to not forget the vanilla.
So we're going to put some vanilla in there.
Although I don't know if this tells nutmeg, but I don't,
I don't remember tasting nutmeg in
No,
Grandma's tea cakes.
I think they left out the nutmeg. And I put a little bit of extra vanilla just in case you wanted to taste better.
I like extra vanilla too. Don't you like Mama's apron? Isn't she cute in red and green?
Thank you, but I'm not cute. They used to put their hands down in it, and I never liked that. I never liked squishing the dough between my fingers. But then I discovered these things called rubber gloves, and you put them on, and you can actually use your hands in it then and not have to feel that awful stuff.
But you're not wearing them now.
I don't have any.
Oh, we're out.
The pandemic took all of them away, or they cost too much.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Mom is always encouraging me to wear these little plastic disposable gloves when I work with meat, like ground beef and stuff.
Would you have
And this
milk
too.
now?
Yes,
Is that
ma'am. My friend Rachel says you look beautiful, Mama.
Oh, well, thank you. Maybe you need to have your eyes examined. 2 tablespoons of milk. The big one's a tablespoon. Jessica, this is called the comedy hour.
There you go.
Oh, what we need, that's what we need, a handy person to clean up afterwards. Wouldn't that be nice?
So when you get it all mixed up, what are you looking for when you're mixing it up?
Well, see, it has to get all blended like everything, and then you're gonna get it in a ball.
So you don't want that dry flour, powdery stuff. You want
So
it
you
all
have to
liquid.
mix it all together.
And how do you tell when it, like if it needs more flour or whatever?
Well, if it's too wet. If it's too wet and not,
What do you look for?
well, you see right there, if you put your hand in that, it's gonna stick to you.
Mm-hmm. So you just pick it up, and if it sticks to your hands, it's too wet, basically.
Yeah, that's right. And you put it out on the dough tray, which will move all this down. And if you don't mind getting me another rolling pin. Oh, you can't
Yes,
do that.
ma'am.
Just
Here.
would you assist
All right,
me to
I'll
on?
get it. Here, you hold that and talk to people for a minute.
I can't talk to
Oh,
people.
great. Yes, you can. That's what you're doing. Talk to people.
Hello, I'm supposed to talk to y'all, but I hope y'all have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and this virus gets over so we can be, what do you ever call normal, you know, again, regular. Visit people and all that, and make cookies with the grandchildren, and have tea parties, and have presents under the tree, and everybody enjoy it. Next year will be good. So, actually, we might have a Christmas in July.
Here you go.
Oh,
That one do?
hey, this, hold it. This is a rolling pin my grandmother gave me for wedding present when I got married. She whittled the wood and everything.
Oh, wow.
Very special wood.
Very special. Here, I'm going to flip it around.
Okay, now I gotta get more flowers. Excuse me.
Oh, Mom's going to get more flour. So if any of the cousins get on, have y'all ever made tea cakes, or do any of you guys have, my friends that are non-cousins, something like this that is a special family cookie recipe that you guys make every year?
Can I have some of the cake?
Yes, you can. This is my little nephew. And I don't know where it's probably water. I have juice in there. There's some juice things at the bottom.
We don't see it.
Hey, Christopher, how are you doing? We're making cookies, tea cakes, one of our family recipes. And this is my Mama, she's about to roll them out with this rolling pin that, who gave it to you again, Mama?
My grandma.
Your grandma, and she carved it out herself. Isn't that cool?
What?
This is the fun part, getting to roll it out. Doesn't that look good and squishy? See that? I feel like that when I try to do stuff like this, I don't get the right amount of flour so that it rolls properly. I think that's the trick.
Well, you just have to keep see, there's still some in the bowl. You just have to keep adding it till it gets
She
right.
was adding flour until it just felt right. So that's what it looks like when
And
it
it's
just
still
feels
happening.
right. I bet there's some people that have never baked cookies like this before.
Yeah. Hey, most people, young people, go to the store and get those roll ones, and they just cut them off the end.
Yeah.
And their kids think that's baking cookies.
Well, it's still fun.
I do just.
Doesn't that look good? You know, I took Mom to Ireland a few years ago, and one of the things we did was we went to this really neat, I guess, farm in the countryside, a sheep farm, and they had a little session where they showed us about shearing sheep and about sheepdogs and all that. And then the farmer's wife took us in, a bunch of us, and was going to teach us how to make scones. But she didn't realize that she had Grandma Betty in the group. And I think Grandma Betty could have taught her how to make scones. And there was a group of us working together at a table. And the rest of us was doing everything wrong. And Mom kept having to come around and fix it. And I think we turned out having the best scones
Yeah,
of all the
pretty
people
good.
that were there cooking that day. There were about 5 groups of people working together.
And you have to eat what you could.
But what I think the thing is that you just know what it's supposed to feel like, right?
Yeah. You just,
So that it rolls out
so
properly.
when you're not feeling any sticky, you know you can probably roll them out then. If you don't put enough flour in it, they spread out, which is okay too because they're good thinner. But you want them to be kind of cake-like where you can, you know, where they're good.
See, I would have
Well,
already
they're good
started
no matter
rolling.
how they turn out. No, if they don't turn out right, you still.
Even if they look ugly, they still taste good because it's just flour, sugar, butter, and vanilla, right?
Yeah, just get your bowl and pour some flour in it, pour some sugar in it, put some butter in it, put some eggs in it, put some vanilla in it.
Oh.
Right.
Well, Christopher, maybe this will inspire you to bake cookies for your family. Oh. Is it about ready to roll out?
They're just about sticking.
Now, see, I would have already given up and rolled it out, and
You
probably
would've
wouldn't be
got
as good.
It would have been sticky though.
it would have been sticky.
But see,
You're right.
you know,
And I would have complained about it too, probably.
my people used to have these big dough cloths, and they were really cloth ones that they made themselves, and they make the little things you roll out now too little. See, that's small as mine is.
Now, what do you mean? The width of it? You're talking about
Yeah,
the
it's
width
not
of the
big
rolling
enough.
pin?
No, the pan you roll them out on like this. You,
Oh, you're talking about,
the baking.
what do you call those
That
things?
thing.
Yours is a silicone. She's talking about this thing right here is
Yeah.
silicone. She said they used to make them bigger. Did Tupperware not make them bigger back in the day?
I probably.
Or did people use actually just fabric?
They just use fabric.
Yeah, Christopher, you should totally make you some cookies. It's a good man skill. Isn't that pretty?
Now, most of the time, there'll be little children wanting to eat some of it.
And then
And then you
nowadays you can't really hardly even let kids eat it because of the salmonella that might be in the eggs, right? I remember getting to eat cake batter and all that when I was growing up.
Well, that's because I didn't know they'd hurt you.
Well, it never did, but we used our own eggs from our own chickens back in the day too, so I don't know if that makes a difference.
You need flour here. You cut them out like this.
She's cutting them out. So I guess for the sake of time, we can just put a few on the sheet and pop them in,
Okay.
if that's all right with you.
Okay, if you get me the pan.
There, get it. Yeah, Mama makes them pretty, doesn't she? Oh, she's gonna put maybe, oh, it's over on the other side of the stove, Mama. Don't those look good? Well, I don't know, though. You cut a little half circle out of one there. She's using parchment paper, so it'll be even easier to get off.
My baking pan from getting all messed up.
And she's got a brand new pan, so don't want to mess it
A
up.
brand new pan. Pans really cook better when they get brown, though. That's why I'm using the parchment paper. You got it.
Mm-hmm. And maybe the reason I like doing tea parties is because you trained me up at eating tea cakes and such, huh?
Maybe so. This is feeling a little lean, but it might need a little bit more flour. And then some people sprinkle sugar on top of them, but I don't.
Hey Jessica, Grandma Betty is making one of our family recipes. It's tea cakes from our Great Grandma McCain, and also Grandma Simpson is the one that I remember making them. And we'll post the recipe below. And she's got them, some in the pan. I think I'm probably just gonna wrap up this part of the video and we'll pop them in the oven and get on real quick to see how they turned out. What do you think about that, Mama?
Okay.
Oh, Karen Paglia is on here. Hey, Karen. We're making my Great Grandma McCain's tea cake recipe. And I'll put a picture of the recipe down under here in just a minute after it's posted. I'm so glad that I came down to see Mom over the holidays.
Oh, me too. And see, it's easier to handle if you don't have as much dough as I had, but I still got people coming I still have my children come in waves, grandchildren, and there's still some hadn't been here, so I figured they want some tea cakes when they come.
We have let's see, Mom has 4 children, 12 grandchildren, and how many great-grandchildren?
12.
And 12 great-grandchildren. And that would be way too many people for right now in this house, so she's been having people come just little by little. Most people have been doing porch visits. If you're friends with me on Facebook, which all of you guys are.
Have a Christmas tree on the front porch. What about that?
Put a Christmas tree on the front porch, so people got their picture made with Grandma on the front porch. And she's seen 10 of her 12 grandchildren. And so it's been a good Christmas.
Mm-hmm. But guess what?
We have tried to
hung up
behave
my
ourselves.
stocking, and guess what? No Santa Claus.
Oh, Santa Claus forgot to come see Grandma Betty. So Santa Claus, if you're out there, you might want to drop by later.
First year. Hey, the first
That's
year
true.
you have to come to my house. Just because y'all were not
It was the
here.
first year I wasn't here on actual Christmas Eve. We delayed a little bit getting down here because I had some hitching my get up. But we got here, and soon we'll be heading back to the shore. But we want to do this before I headed out. And send you guys all our belated Merry Christmas and best wishes for Happy New Year. And maybe we'll inspire you that even though Christmas is over, you can still bake.
And you can come visit me if you like.
Yeah, Karen, you're welcome to come visit Grandma Betty.
Anybody.
All right,
Just 2 more.
2 more. All right, I thought we were going to put a partial batch in there, but it looks like we're going to fill up the whole pan. Doesn't that look good?
It's better to fill up the whole pan. then
And you can
sometimes
see all
you
Mama's
just-
plants back there. She's got all these birdhouses. She has the most beautiful birds. She loves bluebirds. And there's even a bluebird that's been out there since I've been visiting her this week.
Yeah, it's in the wintertime. I don't know what happened to them. They're the wrong time of the year.
Yeah. Well, I guess we can put this in the oven, huh?
Please put that in the oven.
All righty, it's going in the oven, and I'll let you. Here you go. It's at 375. 375 in the oven for how many minutes?
About till you see it getting brown.
Okay. I was trying to hand Mama the phone so I could put this in the oven, but she's busy doing. Here. Say something to people for a minute, Mama.
She always gets my full face. So,
All right. How many
into
minutes?
and the middle rack in your oven.
And how many minutes? You're not looking at them. You're showing the
I
ceiling.
don't like my face on there.
Tell people how you've been doing during the coronavirus.
I've been doing fine, except I don't like not seeing people.
How many minutes does this go?
Just till it starts getting done. No, don't put timer.
Did you hear what she just said? She won't let me set a timer. She says just till it gets done.
Okay,
How is this helping people?
10 to 12 minutes, but if you don't watch
10
them,
to 12
sometimes they'll
minutes.
burn. 10 to 12 minutes.
I'm going to set the timer.
Okay.
I'll set it for 10 minutes.
A long time ago, they had wood stoves with them, and they didn't have timers and all that stuff. Not in my day. I do remember seeing a wood stove, but we didn't have one. But they were good. And biscuits cooked on a wood stove are the best biscuits in the world. I'd like to have some. Does you want to buy me a wood stove so I can cook some, Melissa? Have you ever seen a wood stove?
Yeah, we used to have one. Well, we didn't cook on it, but you had something like that in the den when I lived here.
That was a heating stove. That wasn't a cooking stove.
I think you're right, Christopher, about when you smell them, you usually think they're about done, right? So do you go by
Who's
the
leaving?
smell?
Who's
That's
that?
Mike moving the car. Do you go by the smell method, Mama?
No, I go by the look. If it's getting a little tiny bit brown around the edges. If you wait too long, though, it'll burn on the top. So when they start getting a little bit golden around the edges, they're done. Because you don't brown them on top. So, okay.
Karen says her grandma never used a timer either.
I mean, they're just aggravating things.
Well,
Okay.
anything else you want to say before we?
Well, Merry Christmas. Stay safe. Wear your mask and all that stuff.
We'll do a brief video when they come out of the oven. All right, and we'll see you later.
And they're very
Love
good
you
to
all.
share them with your grandchildren, your neighbors, your
Yeah.
friends.
Okay, we'll check that later. Love y'all. Have a great day.